What is up, everyone? Happy freedom. Why does my camera look all dark? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans. Happy Freedom Friday. Let's see if I can fix my camera really quick. There we go. I did the thing. Appreciate you guys being here. We're going to read through the schedule really quick. And we're going to read through all the chats. I'm going to try not to die while we do this. It is so hot. How hot is it where you are? It's 87 here right now. I'm gonna have to go jump in the lake or something after this. So 2 p.m. coming up, 9 minutes. KJP is gonna be staggering out on stage smelling like booze and shame for the White House Press Briefing. Then we'll be starting off the live with a video titled Protests Against DeSantis Immigration Bill. I guess there is migrants that are upset about something DeSantis did. I don't know. It kind of goes with this video that's going to be on the alternative platforms where the president of Mexico is telling Americans what they should be doing, which is no good, but we'll be covering that later. After that first video, we'll be covering a video titled Houston Family Suing Arbys After Mother Was Found Dead in the Freezer. It's quite a surprise there. Who knows? Nothing will probably happen. I've worked in fast food a long time. I know they don't care. After that, we have a video titled This is Elder Abuse with Tommy. I know you hooligans love Tommy. Then we have a video titled Senate Passes Debt Ceiling Bill. U.S. Averts Default. Yay, I guess. I don't know. I still don't know a whole lot about the debt ceiling, but apparently they got it fixed. Then we have a video on protesters. There was protesters out last night, but it was not spicy. We didn't end up covering it. And I'm blocked from the chat, so I don't know if they heard me talking shit or what, but I went to the live and it was like, you're banned. You can't talk in the chat. It was like, what? How'd I get banned? I've never even wrote in the chat. So I don't know. They must be watching the live. And then we'll be wrapping things up on the YouTube side of things with a video titled Men Out There, Raise Your Kids. I think the message is okay, but I think it's also not complete. But it is worth a listen, so we're going to take a gander at that. We'll wrap things up on YouTube, and then we'll continue on with a video titled Biden Puts the Cartels in Charge of Mexico. That video talks a little bit about, like I was saying, the president of Mexico advising Americans what they should be doing and how they should cast their vote, which is none of their business. And then we'll be wrapping things up for the entire live with a video titled Senate Hearing Erupts in Laughter when some person says, I don't want reality. He was discussing a book, a child's book that was based on race, and he was comparing it to teaching a child about God. I think they were talking about third graders. Then everybody in the Senate was basically like, no, we need to talk about race. We don't need to talk about God. And then he had... I don't know. He tried to rephrase a comment that was said to him, and then they just gang mentality him, you know, like protesters do. You say one thing out, and then all of a sudden they're all screaming dumb shit at you, and that's what happened to him. So that's what's on today's live. I'm gonna get this press briefing pulled up so I can be aware as soon as she steps out on stage, which they already got it kicked over, so maybe they'll be on time. But we got enough time to cover this first video here. Oop, wrong button. Moved all my stuff around in a different order, so now I'm messing everything up. But that's okay. It's Freedom Friday. That's all that matters. Alright, before we get started, we're going to flip through the chat, make sure everything is good to go. The whole scrolly thing sucks over here on YouTube. I don't know why. What's up, Norman? What's up, Matthew? What's up, Adam? What's up, Grey Wolf? What's up, Adrian? What's up, Dot? What's up, Lion's Heart? What's up, Annette? What's up, Anthony? Happy freedom, you hooligans. What's up, Dutton? What's up, Daryl? What's up, Snooks? Appreciate you guys being here. What's up, Miss Jamie? What's up, Hair Juicer? What's up, Sassy Patriot? What's up, Hair Juicer? What's up, Cora? 89 in Ohio. Yeah, see, it's too hot for me. That stuff is too hot. I wish it was 65 outside. I'd be happy. I appreciate you guys being here. Happy freedom. What's up, Grateful Ed? What's up, Ran America? I'm doing all right. How are you doing? What's up, Crispy? What's up, Superior? Happy freedom. What's up, everyone on the Jeff Mac Live Secret Channel? What's up, Shadow? What's up, James? Happy freedom. James, judges out there, stop removing dads from your kids' lives. See, and that's what I was kind of thinking too. That whole message is kind of worded in a way that dads are choosing to not be dads. But I see more of the court system interfering with families than dads choosing to not be dads. Being a dad is rough. Being a dad is rough. At any time, if the mom doesn't want you anymore, your life is screwed. You make a call to the judge, your life is screwed. You can pay child support, you won't get to see your kids. It's that simple. Making a call, boom, dad doesn't live here anymore. They didn't address that at all. They made it seem like a choice, but either way. What's up, everyone on Twitch? What's up, Grey Wolf? Happy freedom, you hooligans. What's up, everyone on Kick is what I would say if anybody watched on Kick, but we're live there, so I mean, that's something. What's up, everyone on Odyssey? What's up, Livid Review? What's up, Donna Sparks? Happy freedom. What's up, Can Killer? Donna Sparks, did you send me something? I got a package right when I was about to start the live. I haven't cracked it open yet. It's across the room and I ain't got pants on. We'll have to do it next time. What's up, everyone on Rumble? What's up, Mike Drop? What's up, Lifelike? What's up, Joe? What's up, Jeb? Appreciate you guys being here. Happy freedom. What's up, 10 Man? Appreciate you watching on the website. Happy freedom. So we're gonna get started on this first video before KJP comes out. She's supposed to be out in 3 minutes, but she'll be late. I'm guaranteeing it. So his first video is titled Protest Against DeSantis Immigration Bill.
¿Quién de nosotros, solo los inmigrantes, es un ataque a la economía de nuestro estado?
Le pido al gobernador que tenga más que nada conciencia. Todos los vegetales, alimentos que llega a su mesa pasa por mano de un inmigrante. Y eso es todo lo que puedo decir. Como madres, como mujeres, somos personas honradas que solamente venimos a luchar por un mejor futuro para nuestra familia.
¿No vamos a permitir? Exactamente.
Eso es lo que está haciendo falta.
Soy de Sudamérica y eso significa mucho para mí porque yo vine aquí a este país para trabajar y si no me dan el derecho a trabajar, no puedo hacer nada.
I don't know about that. I don't know what to say about all that stuff. I don't know exactly what is in the bill, but I know if people are here legitimately, I don't understand why they're waving Mexican flags. Like, you're in America, you want to be an American like this. But if they're here illegally and they're protesting bills being passed, well, that's they don't have the right to do that because they're not here legally. They don't have rights. And so, like that last individual was saying, my kid has a right to something or other on their sign. No, not if they're not an American. They don't have rights here. That's the benefit of coming here legally, is you'll have rights, but you don't have rights if you're not here legally. So I don't know. I don't understand all that stuff. Matthew, imported problems. Yeah. Bombay man, border crossers have more rights. Yeah, it seems that way. Just like criminals. Criminals get slapped on the wrist. Doesn't matter you killed somebody. Doesn't matter you're selling drugs or committing crime. Nah, just slap on the wrist. But man, if you accidentally make a mistake, oh no, you're in all kinds of trouble. We see with the protesters all the time. They're carrying an American flag. You better stay on the sidewalk or you're being arrested. You got a BLM flag. Which building would you like to burn down? It doesn't matter. Everything's upside down. High Plains Drifter, they think it's stolen land. When I think of that stuff, I always think about brute force, and it's like, nah, you don't want those problems. You don't want to give Americans a reason to go out there and just start flexing on people. Because Americans want it. You can tell every time you go to a Walmart, you see people just full of tension. They just wish a fight would break out. People are tense. After that 2-3 year banging from the government, people are tense. They are tense. Just reading through the chat really quick. I'm gonna put this over here. Keep an eye on KJP. You gotta keep an eye on her. Can't trust her. Don't trust anything that bleeds for 7 days and doesn't die.
What, is this a communist country or something? No, this is America.
I love South Park. What's up, KA? Happy freedom. DB, our veterans have earned what the illegals are being given. It's true. So I don't understand why there's so much going on with border crossers. There's so many Americans that are homeless and need all kinds of resources that they're not getting. People want to come here illegally? No, give it to them. Give them the supplies. What's up, Sam? Happy freedom. Let's see, flipping through the chat. Relic, did you see Biden's sandbag fall? Yeah, I posted it. Actually, we covered it during the live yesterday, and I made a short out of it. Thank you so much, Mike, for the $2 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Ghost, because they hate us. The people running the country do. What's up, Tracy? Happy freedom. Debacles, let us take over your country. Yeah, everybody be mad then. They'd be mad if the Americans started getting feisty and was like, we want Canada. We want Mexico. We're coming for it. You're going to let us in. You're going to give us free resources, free places to stay. And then pretty soon there'll be more of us than there are of you. And you're going to take it and you're going to like it. Nope, only us. We're the only ones that have that much grace for others. What's up, Mr. Beansy Beans? Happy freedom. I don't know, all the stuff I hear about Canada, I think Canadians want us to come liberate them. Turn it into a police state like the UK. I guess the UK is like really bad about communism and stuff. It's weird to look at the chat on the other side of the screen. I moved everything around. I don't know if I like it. Gotta try new things. That's what I told her. What's up, Jeb? Alright. KJP still not on stage, so we're gonna move to this next one. Houston family suing Arbys after mother was found dead in the freezer. Oh man. I could totally envision this. I've worked in a lot of restaurants. Especially like Yum Corporation or whatever it is. The Yum brand. Alright, let's get her started.
A Houston woman froze to death after she was left stranded inside of a restaurant freezer for hours. It all happened at Arbys in New Iberia, Louisiana on May 11th.
A tragic situation. The woman's family is now suing the restaurant and franchisee. Fox 26's Natalie He joins us live to tell us what the family's seeking. Natalie?
Well, the lawsuit claims that Arbys upper management knew that the freezer's latch had been broken for several months and did nothing to fix or address the issue. They believe that this death could have been prevented. We do want to warn our viewers that some of the details we're about to hear may be a little disturbing.
Prostitute. Her family talks so passionately about her, about how she was a loving mother.
Nuyet Lee's 4 kids won't let their mother's loving memory fade without justice. The family from Houston is now suing Arbys and its parent company, claiming gross negligence.
It's one of the most horrific deaths you can imagine.
Their attorney, Paul Scribonic, said 63-year-old Nuyet Lee had been working at the Arbys off the South Loop West in Houston for several years, but was asked to fill in as general manager for the New Iberia, Louisiana location for 6 weeks. On May 11th, Ms. Lee showed up to the restaurant at 9 a.m.
She began doing duties to get the restaurant ready to open that day, and somehow must have gotten locked in that freezer before 10 a.m. because other employees began to show up at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and they couldn't get in. I guess they don't give them keys.
Paul said the employees called Ms. Lee's phone repeatedly, but received no answer for hours. It wasn't until upper management asked Ms. Lee's son, Win, who had keys to the restaurant, to check on the place nearly 9 hours later.
The general manager realized we don't have any sales at the location today. That's really, really odd, and asked him to go check things out. And that's when Wynn found his mother about 6 o'clock that evening. Talking to the police officer that investigated the scene, he said she really struggled to get out of that freezer. She beat on the door as hard as she could. There was blood on the door, and she ultimately fell face first and froze to the floor.
Documents say Ms. Lee died of hypothermia as the freezer was maintained at least -10 degrees or colder. The lawsuit also claims employees used a screwdriver and a box of oil to help keep the freezer door open.
We know from talking to a former employee there that it had been broken since at least August of last year, and that upper management had come through there and personally witnessed that broken latch, and nothing had been done. He had made repeated requests to get it addressed. And in fact, I'm told that Miss Lee actually made a request in writing to management as well about it.
Up next in the case, the family's attorney tells me that he's asked Arbys and its parent company to preserve any evidence related to this case. That includes surveillance video. Now, we also reached out to an attorney representing the franchisee, but so far we have not heard back. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Arbys Corporate says that they are aware of the tragic incident and says they are cooperating with law enforcement. Natalie He reporting, Fox 26 News.
Kick the bucket at Arbys. It's no good. I used to work at a ton of restaurants like that. Corporate don't care. They don't care. We used to complain about stuff all the time. Hey, this ain't working, that's not working, or dough is moldy, whatever. And they'd say, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You keep complaining, you'll be looking for a new job. So you shut your face. Then things like that happen. And then they show up and they go, you guys didn't tell us. This was all messed up. We got a dead body in the freezer. You guys should have told us the handle was broken. We're like, what? What? We did. They're like, no, you're fired. You're fired. So that's exactly what it's like. That's why I don't work in restaurants anymore. At least at factories, you can swear. You can swear. You don't have to smile at the customers and pretend like you don't hate your life and want to just beat your face in with a pizza pan. Yeah. Nope. Working for main chain fast food is not worth a whole lot of nothing. All those employees could have told corporate. Well, it does mention that corporate did know, and they don't do anything. They don't care. So I hope they sue them for $1 billion. Yum Corporation, all that, they deserve it. They deserve it. They don't keep track of their stuff for nothing. They don't care about their employees or anything. So hope they get sued to shit. That's what they deserve. Maybe it'll wake them up. Poor mom, though. Going to cover a shift, being transferred to another location to pretend to play GM, probably not getting compensated appropriately, and then dying in the freezer because they got a bad latch. Sucks. It's not how I want to go. Spider Mike, I did Pizza Hut too. Oh my god, I've worked at all of them. I've worked at all those places. I tried my best, but I don't know. I like to be tip-top on stuff. You start calling out managers for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You even start calling out the GM for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Next thing you know, they try to push you up out of there. They don't like that. They don't like that. Same reason why I won't be a cop. Because I'll be telling everybody, hey, I see you cutting corners here. You're going to mess this up for the rest of us. And next thing you know, they let you go. They don't want to deal with you. And then everything falls apart for exactly what you told them was going to fall apart. You're not there to be like, I told you so. They just blame somebody else. They might as well just be blue team. The way it goes. 24/7. I want to go fast. If you're not first, you're last. Mitchell. I work for Jack in the Box Mystery Meat Tacos. Yeah, they say Arbys got the meats. You just didn't know it was mom. That's crazy. That's crazy. Mitchell, it doesn't hurt. You fall asleep and that's it. She probably messed herself up trying to break out of there. Lion's Heart, I was locked in a freezer for 30 minutes at a grocery store. I was the stock guy. The only way I got out was by luck. It was terrifying. I can't imagine what the poor lady went through. Oh yeah, I'm sure she was not having a good time. Being locked in a frozen box. Yeah, that would be terrible. I used to go in there to hide. I'd be so hot coming off the line, I'd go in the cooler and close the door and just have steam rolling off me and stuff and be like, if they don't find me, then good. Means I won't have to go back to work. I was a young lad back then. Tracy, the freezer where I work has an inside button to push while you're inside. Yeah, it has like a knob and a pole, and you push and it opens the latch from the outside. Most of them have that, but I'm assuming if the latch wasn't working, that probably if it did have an inner button, it probably didn't work right. Messy management problems. Yeah. Chris, it's always hot in the kitchen. Took breaks in the freezer. Yep, used to do the same thing. And if I couldn't get out, somebody else's problem. Let's see. Fintech, it's all over for Arbys. No, I doubt it. People are going to be mad that they took her out. They're going to be like, we wanted to try it. People are so messed up nowadays. I'm surprised we're not eating each other and stuff. Like, we're right there. We're right there. We're going to let AI run the country and pay the bills. We'll just go out in the wild and start eating each other because we're just not doing things the way we're supposed to be. MD Cyron. We have a fire axe in our walk-ins. It's definitely a chance to get out. A lot of stuff is all aluminum lining. You're probably going to damage a $150,000 walk-in cooler, but at least you won't die. Mitchell, I drink free milkshakes every day. WMM used to work at an ice cream place. He can't even look at ice cream now. Like in a factory where they put it in the cartons or whatever. You know how much bad ice cream he probably seen? He can never unsee. He's got PTSD from ice cream. Poor guy. Mitchell, whether you smoke or not, always carry a lighter. I agree. I haven't smoked a cigarette since I was 21, but I always have a lighter on me. You never know. Mike, I'm anti-cannibal though. No, you're a cannibal phobe. That's what the protesters are gonna say. You're a cannibal phobe. You're a little scared. You're a little scared. I hate that they stick phobia on everything. Like anti doesn't exist. Joanne heard lots of stuff about McDonald's. Oh yeah, McDonald's is terrible. That's a great example of how much people don't care about stuff. There's been so much videos and stuff that have come out about McDonald's, about how the chicken nuggets are made, about how the burger patties are made, about how all of it's bad for you, about how all the food has plastic fibers in it and stuff that's causing cancer in your stomach. And everybody knows. Everybody knows. And everybody still eats McDonald's. Because we just don't care. We just don't care. I'm telling you, we're on the brink of being out in the wild eating each other. Diane, I'm right there with you. Salter Ego, I eat my neighbors. Does her husband know though? Is this a secret thing? You spilling the beans here? Hair juicer, they're censoring my comments about what? What is, I don't know what that is. There was someone yesterday, I think, saying that their comments were being hidden or something. I'm not seeing hidden comments though. I wonder if they changed the moderation thing. They got so many new buttons and stuff on here, but it's all for moderation. What did I just change? I just changed something. Moderation activity will be shown. Well, we'll see. I haven't seen anything being censored yet, though. Somebody type the F word in the chat. It'll show up as a gray box on my screen. I'm waiting for 170 people to all type the F word in the chat. I'm a bad influence on you hooligans. May I see the American diet? Chad, McDonald's is nasty now. I don't think I've ever ate McDonald's and felt full and good about myself at the same time. I can go there and eat $30, $40 worth of food, which used to be something 5 years ago. It's never good though. You never feel satisfied. Oh yeah, okay, I'm seeing. The comments are being flagged, but I can actually see it. I don't know if it wasn't passing through before Hair Juicer, but if you get censored, it'll show it now. Appreciate everyone participating and swearing in the chat. Testing that the censorship is still alive. Jonathan writes fart. Wrong F word, okay? Amber, yep. Oh, you got past. I think Snooks is passing all your stuff through. Dun, have you noticed any live reaction emoji things? What do you mean? Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Miss Jamie, yeah. I'm seeing all the flag comments all grayed out. Snooks, feck. Robert, yeah, you can't say that, I guess. Ting Ting, glad to be censored. We tested the system and it worked. It's still working against us. What's up, Cheeky Chops? Happy freedom. KJP is 17 minutes late. What's up, Johnny? Happy freedom. What's up, Karami? Oh, damn, we got 2 people watching on Kick. Moving up in the world. What's up, Nefties? Oh yeah, you know what's crazy is you can't say the F word on Rumble also. I forgot about that. Everybody talks about how Rumble is free speech. You can't say the F word in the chat. They'll just remove your comment. I have no control over that. Jeb, remember Jeffrey Dahmer? I bet there's more like him out there that haven't been caught yet. Well, I mean, how could you catch him if all of his victims were border crossers? You'd never know. I've been saying that since the border situation is like really started. Serial killers and stuff, they're probably like moving closer to the border. They got free victims. Nobody's looking for them. Hardly any chance you're gonna get caught. You could be doing anything to those people and no one's even gonna know. 10 man. YouTube is good for shadow banning the chat and comments. Yep. Exactly. They love their censorship. But that's what's gonna happen. YouTube is gonna censor itself right out of existence. They don't care though. I firmly believe they're getting rid of creators. They just want to compete with Netflix and stuff with their YouTube TV. They're just slowly working us out. I think we're a liability and a expense for YouTube. And once they get rid of creators, they'll still have their ad revenue because they can stick ads on the movies and TV shows, so they'll still have all of that. They'll still have all the viewers because people want to watch movies and stuff, but they won't have to have customer service or community guidelines or anything like that for all the creators. I think we're just an expense at this point. Mitchell, no, I don't know anything about the bills that have been passed. I don't know anything about that stuff. What's up, Winning Streak? Happy Freedom. What's up, Destiny Gal? What's up, LM? Nyanet. You got a filthy mouth, but no, it's not passing through. It's not passing through. Ting Ting, serial killers and pedophiles are having a field day. Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it. They want that border wide open. Those people are victims that come over here. Those border crossers, they're victims and they don't even know it. They think they're coming to the place of freedom, smiling with their teeth showing. Those politicians, they want them here. What's up, Eric? Happy Freedom. Snooks, my audio sounds low. Let me see. I mean, it shouldn't be any different. Jeff. Let me check things. Does it sound any different? No. I can see the meter looks low. I don't know why it's like that. Mess with it. It's gonna get all messed up. Is that any better? I don't know why it's so low. I'm nervous about messing with it. Dealing with audio is a touchy thing. The music's too loud. No, it's not that. I have a limiter and a compressor put on the main audio, so when I speak, it drops. Let me see. Yeah, it's not that. It's something else. The beats are a part of the main audio, and that stuff doesn't dictate how loud my voice is, because my voice causes sidechain connection compression to the main audio. So when I speak, it turns down the volume of the beats, but my audio is low, and I don't know why. It shouldn't be my equipment. And the more I turn this up, the more when it fixes itself, it'll be a problem later on. Nah, it's not Windows. I think it's the software. It just went through an update right before I went live, and I think that has something to do with it. Let me think. I could do another audio input, and that might fix it. I really hate that. It did that on the gaming live the other day. Oh, audio input capture. Audio in. Add source. Set this up. Down next to mono. We're going to switch it here in a second. You should hear differences. Alright, is that any? No, it doesn't even look any better. I don't know why that's happening. Something's messed up. Oh, now it's really loud. Alright, I think my cable was loose. Everybody's like, I want to be a live streamer. No, you don't. No, you don't. audio situation is a mess. Did we fix it? Is it better? Is it too loud? Am I too loud now? Because I turned my hardware up now, trying to compensate. See what happens when you overcompensate? It's all good now. Loose cable. That's what it was. It was the loose cable. Should have started with the cable before I started messing with knobs. I saw those knobs. Just, you know, that urge is overwhelming. All right, I'm glad we got that fixed. I appreciate you guys telling me. Now I got this extra audio input. I'll have to deal with that later. That's tomorrow's problems. Let's see. Yeah, it's not that the beats were overwhelming my voice. You'll probably be able to tell if I do this. Okay, beats are on. I'll turn down my TV so you guys can't hear it. And then see, when I talk, it turns the beats down. It'll turn vocals down, protesters, anything on the screen. It'll drop that audio down. That's actually a little secret that a lot of live streamers don't realize. And they got their audio settings all messed up because they don't actually know anything about how audio works. I get these emails from Full Sail University, and they're like, how do you feel about your education, blah blah. I'm like, well, my audio doesn't suck when I'm live. That's about it. That is about it. Let's see. Winning streak. Talking naughty. Appreciate you guys helping me out with the audio there. Yeah, Sam, see, you're picking up what I'm laying down. Audio's low. I'm like, where's the knobs? Got to twist the knobs. I'm all about that. Free the knobs. What's up, Mr. Average? Happy freedom. What's up, Weenus? Appreciate you being here. I don't need one of those, Anthony. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate you helping. You guys talking about the Orange Eagle over on Twitch. KJP is late. 28 minutes. We might as well just move on to this next video. I was kind of waiting on her as well as fixing my audio. Man, it wasn't exactly an operator error. It was Klaus Daniels' fault. He was messing around with the studio last night, got my cables all loose. No good. Alright, we're gonna cover this next video titled This is Elder Abuse. It's got Tommy. I know you hooligans love Tommy. I don't know many girls with boys' names, but thank goodness she's pretty, right? Alright. Get this set up. Alright, let's get her started.
Joe Biden tripped and fell on stage at the Air Force graduation today. It was embarrassing and quite honestly, it was sad. The White House assured the media that Biden is fine, and I hope that's true. He blamed a sandbag on the stage, but it's clear Biden is struggling to handle simple tasks like walking. Man. Maybe his wife and all those people pushing him to run for a second term are guilty of elder abuse. Tommy Lahren is the host of Tommy Lahren is Fearless, which is true. I know that to be true. Tommy, what's your immediate reaction to this?
Well, my immediate reaction is like any American or decent person that's watching this, and I feel very badly for Joe Biden. I mean, he is a senior citizen. He is an elderly man. Nobody likes to see somebody fall like this. It's not funny. It's humiliating for him, but it's also humiliating for our country because not only is this man our current president, but he actually wants to run again in 2024. That's insulting to the American people, to the American voters, and worst of all, he doesn't even want to debate other Democrat contenders to have to vie for that nomination, to have to vie to run for president of the United States again in 2024. It's insulting. It's sad. It's humiliating, and it needs to end. And like you said, I'm wondering where his advisors are, but mostly I'm wondering where his family members are. Where is Jill Biden saying, this is enough of this? This is humiliating for my husband. We need to take a step back and evaluate that. This is elder abuse, and quite frankly, it's repugnant.
Yeah, the concern here, listen, people fall. Older people fall more. They lose motor function as they get older. But that's just kind of one sign of many as you get older, and it's like they ignore all the other signs of aging and tell us that we're mean for pointing this out.
Yeah, again, that's what's frustrating. If he had just fallen, I mean, we all fall, we all trip, we all stumble, right? This isn't just a one-time thing. This is something he does repeatedly. I'm actually less worried about him physically falling and more worried about the fact that he can't put together a coherent sentence. I'm also worried about the fact that his handlers have to puppeteer him every time he speaks to the public or speaks to the press. They have no confidence in letting him go off the script, no confidence in letting him address reporters' questions that aren't pre-scanned and pre-planned. But they want us to have confidence in him being our commander-in-chief? Are you kidding me? Do they think that we are stupid?
A little bit, probably. Let me ask you a question. Do you see a stark contrast between Joe Biden and President Trump, who are similar in age, but maybe different in their ability to handle themselves?
Yeah, I mean, whether you like Donald Trump or not, I think that it's quite obvious the man is at the top of his game. I mean, he is witty. He's got quick comebacks. You know, maybe he has tripped and fallen a few times, but that's just something that any person would do at any age. But again, I will say this. I think the Democrat Party is looking at Joe Biden. I think that they are very afraid of 2024. And I've said this many times. I still hold true to it, and I still believe it. I believe that they are going to make Gavin Newsom their nominee. By every appearance of what Gavin Newsom is doing, he is electioneering. He is taking shots at every red state, and particularly Florida. So I think Gavin Newsom is shaping up to be their nominee.
I don't know. He didn't have time to make a Memorial Day post, so hopefully he doesn't get far. Tommy Lahren, you are absolutely fearless. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
All right. Well, the press briefing's starting, so I'm going to get that on the screen. Old man Walter yesterday, falling on his face. Nothing new. Nothing new. We did cover that yesterday, right at the end of the live. Matthew, she's gorgeous. Everybody likes Tommy. Daryl, the invisible swordsman, got him. It was that white supreme pizza. You didn't see him fall right over it? Jess, did you happen to see the new policy change on YouTube for misinformation related to 2020 effective today? I haven't seen any changes that came out today. I know you can't talk about what happened in 2020. I knew once they started pulling all my content down and giving me back-to-back strikes. That's when I knew. But yeah, I don't know of any new changes. I'll have to look into it, but I know that we can't talk about it at all. So I don't. So I should be good. They'd have to be real creative to find a way to get me, because I haven't shown it or talked about it, and everything to do with the Orange Eagle only gets shown off of YouTube because of that. But thank you for letting me know. Bombay man, Jill is kissing Hyena Harris's husband. I know, God only knows what they all do behind closed doors. Probably terrible things. What's up, Finn? Happy freedom. Lion's Heart, I am a weeble. I may weeble, I may wobble, but I don't fall down. That's what I was thinking when they were saying that. We all fall down. I'm like, I couldn't take a fall right now. When I'm like 215 pounds or something like that, take a fall, it'd be the end of me. Whoa, don't run. You see what happened to the old man Walter when he was running. We got audio.
Good afternoon, everybody. Prostitute. Just doing a little housekeeping there.
Hello, that young child.
Okay, so today we learned that 339,000 jobs were created last month. That's more than 13 million jobs created since President Biden took office. Unemployment has been below 4% for almost a year and a half. The last time our nation had such a long stretch of low unemployment was in the 1960s. The share of working age Americans in the workforce is also at its highest level in 16 years. The president's leadership to avert default means we will continue to deliver good jobs for the American people and communities throughout the country. The bipartisan budget agreement protects our historic and hard-earned economic recovery and all the progress that the American workers have made in the last 2 years. Members of Congress from both parties came together to prevent a catastrophic default and demonstrated once more that America is a nation that pays its bills and meets its obligations and will always be. It is a testament to the president's strength that more Democrats than Republicans in both Houses of Congress voted for this bill. The work is far from finished, but this bipartisan agreement is a reminder of what's possible when we act in the best interest of our country. Now, yesterday, as you all know, marked the first day of Pride Month. The Biden-Harris administration joins Americans across the country to celebrate the strength, resilience, and bravery of the LGBTQI plus community and reaffirm our commitment to fight for equality and freedom for all people. The reality is this year has been really scary for our community. People are being treated, threatened, intimidated, and targeted for who they are and who they love. This year alone, more than 600 anti-LGBTQI bills have been filed in state houses across the country, and a significant portion of those bills target transgender youth. As President Biden says, these young people are some of the bravest people he knows, but no one should have to be brave to be themselves. It's why the president has taken historic steps to advance equality for LGBTQI community and protect civil rights. He was proud to sign an executive order directing federal agencies to protect LGBTQI families and youth, support youth mental health, and stop harmful conversion therapy policies. DOJ is actively supporting challenges to state laws that target transgender kids. In light of the Dobbs decision, he took action to protect marriage equality by signing into law the Respect for Marriage Act. And he continues to call on Congress to pass the Equality Act to enshrine civil rights protections for LGBTQI plus Americans in federal law. On behalf of the administration, I will say to the LGBTQ plus community that we see you, we love you, and we will continue to celebrate you not just this month, but every month. We're going to continue to stand alongside you and fight back against these attacks, and we're going to remain focused on advancing equality for all people across the country. Now today, as you all know as well, we're also marking National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and in recognition, the White House will be lit in orange lights this evening, and many of us are wearing orange, as you can see from what I'm wearing today, all orange, as we remember the thousands of Americans killed and injured in acts of gun violence across our nation. As some of you may know, this observance started a decade ago after a 15-year-old girl named Hadia Pendleton was shot and killed on a playground in Chicago, just 1 week after marching in President Obama's second inaugural parade. Soon after this tragedy, Hadia's friends commemorated her life by wearing orange. They chose this color because it's what hunters wear in the woods to protect themselves from others. Wear Orange is now observed every June. As the president said this morning in his statement, he's proud to have signed the most significant gun safety legislation in decades and dozens of executive actions. But as we all know, it is nearly not enough. It will take congressional action to make the kinds of meaningful reforms we need to keep our communities safe, like kids like Hadia. Today, Vice President Harris will also deliver remarks at John Lewis High School, where she will talk about the administration's actions to reduce gun violence and call on young people to continue leading efforts to end gun violence and save lives. Today and every day, the President and the First Lady are praying for the victims of gun violence across America and for the survivors who will carry trauma for the rest of their lives. And the President continues to call on Congress to act on common sense reforms that will curb our gun violence epidemic, like establishing universal background checks, requiring safe storage of firearms, and finally banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazine. Now, finally, this weekend, just to give you guys a week ahead of what's going to be happening the next couple of days, the President will remain in Washington, D.C. On Monday afternoon, the President will welcome Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen Frederiksen of Denmark to the White House to further strengthen the deep and enduring ties between the United States and Denmark. Later, the president will welcome the Kansas City Chiefs to the White House to celebrate their championship season and victory in the Super Bowl 57. On Tuesday, the president will hold a cabinet meeting. The vice president, per usual, will participate in that cabinet meeting as well. On Thursday morning, the president will greet Prime Minister Sunak and Mrs. Murty of the United Kingdom of an official working visit to further deepen the relationship, the close and historic relationship and partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom. Then the president will hold a bilateral meeting with the prime minister in the afternoon. As I mentioned before, the president will host a joint press conference with the prime minister as well. In the evening, the president will host a pride celebration with Betty Who on the South Lawn. Friday evening, the president and the first lady will travel to Camp David. On Sunday, the president and the first lady will return to the White House from Camp David. In the evening, the president and the first lady will host a reception for the Ford Theater Gala at the White House. Finally, on a bittersweet note, we hope you'll join us today in saying goodbye to our valued member of the White House press team. You all know Hiile Haru as the always kind, always smiling press wrangler who keeps events running smoothly. What you may not know is that Hiile is a lawyer and a business school graduate who spent the last 10 months of her presidential management fellow and here with us, as you all know, and she has been an indispensable member of our team. We will miss you, Hiile. We will miss your kindness. And also, apparently, I didn't know anything about this, but you have brought in Hawaiian snacks before, which I've never tried, so I don't know how I got left out.
What is a Hawaiian snack?
She brings them to the office, and
is she pretty?
To take on any challenge to help the White House press team and the reporters we work with. I know many of you will join me tonight and for the goodbye festivities this evening. And if you cannot join us this evening, please come to the lower press and please say goodbye to our press team member and also our favorite lawyer as well. I think you have something to share with our friends here in the room. Can try some of these Hawaiian treats that I've never had to try. Or
is this what she's like when she can't just read off of a page, just stuttering? I don't even know what she's talking about, just words falling out of her face.
As this press team is giving a lot of treats. We love to share. You're very welcome. Mahalo. Oh my, there you go, mahalo. That's right, man.
Her laugh sounds like she's trying to start an old Buick.
Okay, with that, let's get going. Chris, hello. What you got for us?
So,
what's up, Carolyn?
Had the fall yesterday. The White House said that he's fine. Was he checked out by a doctor? What was that examination like?
So, just want to remind everybody what the president was in Colorado Springs for yesterday. He was there to offer his thanks to the dedicated, brave women and men and women who are graduating and about to serve in the Air Force. And he was proud, very proud, to shake the hands of more than 900 of them beforehand. So I just want to make sure that we are aware, as Commander-in-Chief, that is why he was there, and he was incredibly proud to do so. And just to make sure we clear the record here, he tripped over a sandbag on the stage, and briefly he tripped and got up, and he got right back up and continued what he was there.
He didn't get right back up. It took 4 people to get him off the ground. What are you talking about? Tripping over that white supreme pizza?
To the fall, and he's doing fine. You saw some of you saw him last night when he returned, getting off of Marine One on the South Lawn. He spoke to this, so I would refer you back to his comments, and so I'll just leave it there.
Another question on his speech yesterday at the Airport Academy. I expressed a lot of confidence that Sweden would be accepted to NATO. What is the source of his confidence? And Biden spoke with Erdogan earlier this week. Was there an assurance given there that made him more confident?
So I'm not going to go into private discussions or conversations that he had with Erdogan. I mentioned a couple of days ago that the president did bring up Sweden and NATO, and so the president continues to be confident, and he's hopefully we hope that this will definitely occur, that we'll see Sweden be part of the NATO alliance.
Thanks, Karine. What can you tell us about the president's remarks tonight in the Oval Office? What's behind the decision to do it tonight and in that setting?
So just a little bit. Well, one of the things I can say why the Oval Office, why tonight, as you all know, we've been talking about averting a catastrophic default for the past couple of weeks, the past couple of months, and how important it was for the president to do that. There is a gravity, as you all can imagine, of this moment, and so the president wanted to make sure that he addressed the American people directly, and he's going to be speaking clearly from the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk to the American people for the first time, and so during a prime time, clearly at 7 o'clock, during a prime time hour. And so he just wanted to make sure that the American people understood how important it was to get this done, how important it was to do this in a bipartisan way. This would have been a first ever default. We've listed out what could have happened. We created a recession potentially, triggered a recession, lose millions of jobs, up to 8 million jobs, increase costs for all Americans. When we're talking about retirement accounts and devastating paychecks, that's what could have happened by Monday if we didn't get this done. Cause chaos and catastrophe in the world economy, and undermine the full faith and credit of the United States. That's what was able to avert it in a bipartisan way, and so the president wants to lay that out for the American people, and that's what you're going to hear him do today.
Fitch is now warning that the U.S. credit rating is still, though, at risk, even once this deal is done. How confident are you that a downgrade will be avoided?
So look, as we all saw, we saw a bipartisan agenda come together in a way that Congress should work, right? And it was majority. We saw a majority of bipartisanship from both chambers of Congress pass a strong fiscal responsibility proposal that will reduce the deficit by more than $1 trillion. That is important to note, and it ensures that the government will continue to meet our commitments, which is important to do as well. So look, the Treasury market remains the safest, the deepest, and the most liquid market in the world, and so I'll just leave it there as what we by basically laying out what we've been able to do, and I think that's important for the world to see.
Did you say dates on when he'll actually sign the bill at this point?
So it won't be today. The House and the Senate have to do their business, and so we're going to work very quickly with them to get this done, to make sure we can sign it hopefully as soon as tomorrow. But we have to let the House and the Senate do what they need to do so it can get to us, so the president can sign it.
Fitch, in their statement today, said that the repeated political standoffs is what was lowering their confidence. In the president's speech today, will he lay out any kind of plan to avoid this standoff going forward, and could he potentially address the use of the 14th Amendment?
So look, I'm not going to certainly get ahead of what the president will say today. As it relates to the 14th Amendment, the president has spoken to that numerous of times. What was important for him was to get this deal done and to take default off the table, which is what we saw happen these past couple of days. Look, the president wants to make sure that the American people understand and understood what occurred. Congress came together, the leaders came together to agree on a bipartisan budget agreement that protects the economic progress that we made, and that will protect not just the economy, but also the American people. And so, look, when we think about the investing in America, what the president proposed, those historic pieces of legislation, those were protected. The CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan infrastructure law. Think about the veterans, the PACT Act. Think about all those important pieces of legislation that's going to make sure that we continue to grow an economy from the bottom up and middle out. Those are the things that the president was able to protect. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And so all of these things are incredibly important, and he's going to lay that out, and I'm just not going to get ahead of him too much.
And then last night you guys put out a readout of a call with President Obama where you said they discussed that deal, but also other topics. What were some of the other topics they discussed, and why did you decide to read out this call? I mean, my understanding was that they spoke, somewhat regularly.
That man was born without lips.
As we know, there was the debt limit situation that was occurring, and so I think it was important for us to read it out, to let them know that the President Obama and President Biden spoke. No specific particular reasoning, but just in the moment, we wanted to read out this conversation that they had. And I know sometimes people ask when they speak, and we thought because of the debt limit, because of the bipartisanship that we saw happening in the last couple of days, it was important to also lay out that the President Obama and President Biden spoke.
Other topics.
I'm not going to get into it. From here, I'm sure we will hear more on what those other topics are. You know, the President Obama has been here a couple times, but I just don't have anything else to lay out specifically. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, thanks, Karine. Is the president concerned with the precedent that this debt ceiling standoff that we're coming out of sets, perhaps in terms of how a party, Republicans in this case, not in the White House, might try to pass policies, pass their objectives, priorities in the future?
Meaning, we'll say that one more time?
Yeah, I mean, is he concerned that this sets a precedent in terms of how Republicans might try to pass policies down the road during the next time we get to debt ceiling maxed out?
I mean, look, I think that the fact that this is a president that was able to bring both sides together and get this done on behalf of the American people, I think that's important. I think that's what we're going to point to. I can't speak to what Republicans in Congress are going to do or might not do or get into hypotheticals. I think what's important here is that we averted something that could have been incredibly catastrophic to our economy and hurt American families. And so that's going to be our focus. You know, not going to get into hypotheticals from here, but I think that what you have seen, what you've all been reporting and seen the past 2 weeks, people didn't think would happen, right? People didn't have the confidence that the president would bring both sides together to make this happen, and it did. And so that's important on behalf of the American people. The American people won here, and I think that's important to speak to.
Karine, you mentioned the Danish Prime Minister coming on Monday. What does the president think of her, and would he consider? Well, there's a reason I asked that, which is he thinking of asking her to stand for NATO Secretary General?
So, look, I could say that the two leaders have a broad agenda that they will discuss on Monday. They will review our efforts as NATO allies and close partners to strengthen transatlantic security and bolster economic prosperity. They will discuss our unwavering support for Ukraine in the face of Russia's brutal war of aggression. And I expect our joint efforts to train Ukrainian pilots on the fourth generation aircraft, including F-16s, will be part of that conversations. And so they're going to coordinate on a range of issues, whether it's climate change, energy security, global issues. And so he's looking forward, the president, I can say, is looking forward to his conversation with her. They had a good conversation when they met in NATO summit in Madrid. Last year's NATO summit in Madrid. And so he's looking forward to continuing that conversation. I'm just not going to get ahead of anything specifics. Clearly, we'll have there'll be a bilab. You'll have an opportunity to see their relationship up close, and we'll probably have a readout once they're done with their extended bilateral.
And Monday. And speculation that she might be in line for the next to be NATO Secretary General.
I'm just not going to get into any speculation as far as that.
Let me ask you as well about this weekend's OPEC meeting. Does the White House have any expectation or any signal or desire for what may come out of that?
So, as you know, we're not members of the OPEC Plus. I'm not going to get into what conversation or what may come out of that, and so I'm just going to leave it there and see, and we'll all see what comes out of those discussions.
Just a quick follow-up on the earlier question about his remarks tonight. Can you explain more as to why he chose the Oval?
Look, he chose the Oval because this was really the gravity of the situation of what could have happened, if we indeed didn't avert, I should say, defaulting could have been catastrophic. And so he wanted to talk directly to the American people about what we have been able to do in a bipartisan way with his leadership, coming up with a budget agreement that's going to cut the deficit, as I just explained moments ago, by $1 trillion, but also save some important programs that Americans need, just some basic things that Americans need every day. And so you think about healthcare, when you think about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all of these things were certainly potential for being cut. 21 million people losing health care. That matters. And so the president wants to lay that out, wants to talk directly to the American people and talk about how we were able to come together and deliver for American families. That's important. We think that's important. So he's going to use his first Oval address to talk directly to them.
Thanks, Karine. I wanted to drill a little bit further on the display of bipartisanship you talked about, and two related questions. Has the president talked to Speaker McCarthy since legislation passed, or extended an offer for him to come to the White House or to the Oval, or?
So don't have a conversation beyond what we laid out a couple days ago after the House passed their version of the bill. The president certainly spoke to Speaker McCarthy after that passage. They've spoken. They've met about 3 times in the past in the last month. They've spoken several times, and as you saw on Monday, the president thanked Speaker McCarthy for coming together and having this bipartisan agreement. Don't have more to share. As the Speaker, clearly they will be talking and meeting a lot more on different legislative agendas and issues, but I just don't have anything else to share beyond that.
And on that, I wonder if people can glean from this that you guys have more of a template for how to deal with the Speaker in an era of divided government, with these negotiations ultimately coming up successful.
I mean, look, I think what you saw in full display the last couple of weeks, and look, maybe there's a template, maybe there isn't, but what I can say for sure, right, is that you had leadership in Congress, the president come together and lay out in a divided government, as you just laid out, go through a negotiation process. As we have said before, negotiations are hard. Not everybody gets what they want, or all that they want, and they came together to deliver for the American people. So I can't speak to a template for future conversations, but what I can say is this is a president, as senator, as vice president, and now as president, believes in bipartisanship. Many people said he couldn't do it when he talked about it during his inaugural address, right, before stepping into the role, and he was able to do that. He was able to continue the bipartisanship that we have seen on historic legislation, and now on averting something that would have been catastrophic to our economy.
Thank you. Going back to Fitch and their continued negative watch, has the White House or Treasury or anyone else been in touch with Fitch and the other ratings agencies even after a deal coming together? And are you concerned that a downgrade could still happen? The S&P downgrade happened in 2011 after there was a deal.
So look, I don't have any conversations to lay out or to speak to with any of the specific agencies. What I can lay out and speak to is this bipartisanship that we saw from both chambers, which is important, right? We saw both chambers come together and deliver here because of the president's leadership, and the deficit is going to lower the deficit by $1 trillion. That's what I can speak to. Again, the Treasury market remains safest, deepest, and most liquid market in the world, and I think that's important. I cannot speak to what agencies are going to be doing. What I can speak to is what we've been able to do from here, and I think that's what's important here.
And during the most frenzied part of the negotiations, some Hill Democrats were frustrated that Kevin McCarthy was going out into the hallways and talking to reporters constantly nonstop, and that he was sort of controlling the narrative, while the White House and the president especially were pretty quiet publicly. Is this Oval Office address the president getting the last word?
Look, the president is the president, and the American people look to him for deliver on their behalf.
Was that a Kamala Harris line? That sounded real Hyena Harris. The president's the president.
If we did not pay our bills, right? If we did not get this done, if we did not avert a default, that would have been catastrophic. When you think about millions of jobs being lost, when you think about people's retirement accounts, you think about what could have happened here to our seniors, to our veterans, to American families across the country on programs that they truly, truly need. That is something that the president believes he should speak to. That is something that the president believes that he has an opportunity to talk directly to the American people. This could have been, as we've said over and over again, as you all reported, it could have been devastating to our economy, devastating to American families. He believes this is a good moment to lay that out and to talk to the American people and how we were able to come together to avert this potential crisis. Okay.
Can you speak to whether you're confident that it will be signed in time for Treasury to do what it needs to do to avoid running out of cash? They said as soon as Monday. you're saying signing as soon as tomorrow, which raises the prospect of signing Sunday. Is it good? Are you good on this?
We feel confident. We feel confident. We are not nervous. We feel confident that it could be signed as soon as tomorrow. The House and the Senate clearly have to do their business in getting the bill to us. As far as any specifics as what Treasury needs to do, I would certainly refer you to them. But we're going to get this done certainly before June 5th.
And going back to the downgrade question, if I'm hearing what you're saying, you don't know whether you'll be downgraded again or not, but you don't believe that should happen?
Look, it's not something that clearly that I can speak to, right? That is up to, clearly that is a response that's going to come from the agencies. What I can say is what we've been able to do in a bipartisan way, dealing with the deficit, right? Making sure that the deficit will be addressed, reduced by more than $1 trillion. I think that's really important. We believe that it is a fiscally responsible piece of legislation, that the bipartisan legislation that was agreed upon, and that really is important. We will continue to meet our commitments. That's important. So I can speak to what we were able to do. I cannot speak to the agencies, and I'll just leave it there.
And going forward, does the president want to explore ways to eliminate the debt ceiling? He's sort of mused about whether the 14th could be used or not before. Will the debt ceiling still be there in 2025 when we come back?
So look, the president has commented on this. He believed that is something for Congress to kind of deal with. I'm just not going to go beyond what the president has laid out and said about particularly about the abolishing. Okay, no, I'll come around.
I want to ask you, if I can, very quickly about one of the items included in the debt limit deal, soon to become law, where Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia said that he wasn't alerted about the Mountain Valley pipeline. As you know, that goes from West Virginia, cuts through parts of his state. Here, Tim Kaine said the White House doesn't even bother to pick up the phone and call me. Has the president now spoken to Tim Kaine, and if not, why not?
I don't have any conversations to read out. What I can say that we've been very clear and consistent for months that the president supported, right, Senator Manchin's permitting bill, which included this project. That is not new. That has been something that we've been pretty consistent about saying. You've heard me say multiple times at the podium that there's nothing new here as it relates to this particular project. Again, we've been consistent. There's nothing new. We've known for some time. And we've also said we may not love everything in the bill, but we support it, and we have repeatedly called on Congress to pass it ever since we secured the Inflation Reduction Act. So, look, we believe that the bipartisan budget deal here that was reached is something that we all should be proud of, that congressional Democrats should be proud of, and it really protected. It protected all of the president's historical legislation, but particularly on climate legislation as well. And I think that's important. It's going to move forward the environmental justice projects, and that's important as well. Accelerate our climate agenda, which is one of the 4 crises that the president talked about when he walked into this administration. And so, look, that's what I can lay out for you. I just don't have any conversations to read out as far as it relates to Senator Kaine, who we respect and have had a very good relationship with over the past 2 years.
Obviously, all Democrats aren't celebrating. There's still 5 Democrats, and at least in the Senate, who voted against it, progressives. So what does the White House say to those progressives, and what does the White House say to combat the criticism from some Democrats that Republicans play hardball when it comes to these negotiations and the Democrats do not?
I mean, look, I'm not going to speak to how any of our Democratic friends voted on this. That is a decision that they make on their own. What I can speak to is how we believe this bipartisan agreement that's soon to be law really is going to make sure that we protect some of the most important programs for American families, and that matters.
What do you say to progressive Americans, though? Obviously, the president represents all Americans, but certainly progressive Democrats are a part of the base of support he needs to be reelected. What do you say to those Americans who are disillusioned by this?
Look, this is a president, if you look at his record the last 2 years, it has been historic. It has been one of the most historic legislative accomplishments that we have seen from a president, and that matters. When you talk about a president who wants to build an economy from the bottom up, middle out, that's what we have seen. We talk about Inflation Reduction Act. It's going to lower health care costs. It's going to lower energy costs. You talk about bipartisan infrastructure legislation. It's going to actually invest in those very communities to make sure that we have an infrastructure, whether it's broadband, whether it's tunnels and bridges, bridges to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. Creating jobs. I just laid out what the jobs numbers was for this month, and how the president under his watch, more than 13 million jobs have been created under this president. That matters. That is a president that cares about all Americans, that makes sure that no one is left behind, and that there's equity at the center of everything that we've done. And so, look, Americans reacted to this in the midterms in 2022, saying they approved of what we were able to do. And so that matters as well. And so, look, and every piece of legislation that he's moved forward that have been historic have been incredibly popular. So clearly, this is a president that cares about all Americans and is always zero focused on. And the American people are going to hear directly from him this evening. Okay, Stephen.
Thanks, Karine. The present crisis, disaster averted. The country at a certain point is going to have to grapple with the substantially more significant question of how the government's going to meet the obligations that it's made to Social Security recipients, Medicare recipients over the next decade and more. Should we expect the president to reflect on that challenge tonight? And how does he view Congress's ability to grapple with those questions in the wake of this bipartisan deal?
It's a good question, Steve, and clearly there's more work to be done. We've never said after this agreement the work is done. We've never said that. Clearly there's more work to be done. I'm not going to get ahead of what the president's going to say specifically this evening, but I would say tune in and you'll hear directly from him. Okay.
Karine, the Republicans were able to pass a bill in the Senate that overturned the president's student loan plan. What does it say that Democrats such as John Tester and Joe Manchin supported overturning that bill? And do you have a timetable on the veto?
So, again, it has to come to us. The president clearly is going to veto this bill. What I can say is I think what's important here is, clearly, I'm not going to speak directly to how members, senators voted on this, but I will say, and I said this a few times, this is when you think about the student relief program, this is going to give Americans a little bit of breathing room, especially after going through the pandemic. We've said this over and over again, 90% of the relief is going to go to Americans who make $75,000 or less. That matters. This is part of the president's economic policy, his economic plan, to make sure we do not leave anybody behind. And so, he's going to continue to fight for American families, if this bill gets his desk, as I just mentioned, he's going to veto it. And so, look, again, it's going to help American families. This is why the president put this forth, especially after getting through the pandemic. And we wanted to make sure that people didn't default when their loan payments resume, which is going to happen next month, in August. I should be more clear, in August.
Just a couple of Republicans felt that the defense funding levels were too low, and they sought assurances from both the Democratic and Republican leaders in the Senate that it's possible more security funding could be provided. Is the president open to additional defense funding, or does he feel like under this deal that the defense spending is sufficient?
So look, we kept the levels that the president asked for, as you know, if you look at his fiscal year 2024 budget, and so that's important. The president felt like he was able to protect that. I'm not going to go into what's, there's going to be an appropriations process, as you all know. Director Young talked about that when she was here, so certainly not going to get into that process. But look, this is a deal, a bipartisan agreement, a common sense, reasonable bipartisan agreement, and when you negotiate on these types of agreement, no one gets everything that they want, and we've been very clear about that. And so, look, the president's going to talk later this evening, speak directly to the American people, and they'll hear from him. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to ask one question about whether or not the president plans to invite the speaker to whatever the signing happens. Is that in the works?
Don't have anything to share on what the signing is going to look like. The president clearly wants to sign the bill as soon as possible. Is important, as someone just laid out. June 5th is on Monday, so he wants to get to it as soon as possible.
And on that question about sort of the template now for working in a divided government, Is the president's relationship with the speaker improved, the same, unchanged after the last several weeks?
So again, the president thanked the speaker on Monday. I think that was important. They came to an agreement, a bipartisan, reasonable agreement. I think that's important. They've met about 3 times in the past month. They've talked several times. Certainly not going to get into the president's relationship with McCarthy, but clearly they were able to deliver on behalf of the American people. We've got a strong bipartisan votes in both the House and the Senate to get this done very quickly. It is Friday, and it is done, right? They got it done just last night, and the president's going to speak to the American people directly to talk about what occurred the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, and I think that's is what is important here. Okay.
Thank you, Karine. So when the president of Japan ears pricked up when he spoke of a thaw, or maybe a possible coming thaw with China, a thaw.
Oh, say that one more time. The
thaw. Yeah, my accent. T-H-A-W.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgive you. I'm not talking for the god of whatever. You know.
Which is what we heard a lot yesterday.
You know, hell of a press conference. Anyway. Yes. So Thor.
God of Thunders, we're hearing from the back.
God of Thunder. Yeah, lightning bolts and stuff like that. Thor. I feel like I'm in a Monty Python sketch here. He spoke of a thaw, which everyone's ears pricked up when he said that.
A thaw.
Yes, a thaw.
Okay.
Can I say it like that?
A thaw.
Okay. So
there's a lot happening here, folks. It's Friday. It's Friday.
I have a follow-up, by the way.
On the thaw?
Okay, so there we are. The president and his thaw. We've since learned, today we learned, that the CIA director was in China sometime before this brief mention of the word I won't repeat in Japan. Are those two things connected? Did the director come back with some news that might make the president think about a thaw?
So as it relates to the CIA director's travel, I would have to refer you to the CIA directly to speak to that. I'm not going to get into it from here, from the podium. So I would have to refer you to the CIA.
How about any? I know you're going to tell me you got nothing to share, but how about a phone call to President Xi?
Well, look, the president is looking forward to speaking to President Xi. As you know, they've spoken many times in the last 2 years. Just don't have anything to read out. When the time is appropriate, certainly that conversation will occur. Okay, Karen.
Yes, Karine. The debt negotiations have been such a big focus on the agenda for the last couple of weeks. What's the next top legislative priority that the president wants Congress to move forward on?
So that's a good question. I talked about the Equality Act, right? At the beginning here is something that the president really wants to see move forward and is an important agenda that he believes that needs to happen. He's talked about that many times, so nothing new there. And so, look, the president has had a remarkable record as it relates to getting things done in a bipartisan way. I've talked about the historic pieces of legislation that he's been able to make happen, and it's a record because we have not seen anything like that from any administration. You think about the CHIPS and Science Act. You think about the Veterans Program, the Act there for Veterans Program. You think about the infrastructure legislation as well, which is clearly law now. So look. We also worked with Congress to prevent this default, and so there's the Equality Act, there's permitting reform, there's Roe v. Wade, there's comprehensive immigration reform, there's the PRO Act, or reducing the deficit by making the rich pay their fair share. So the president has a serious agenda that he wants to get done for the American people, and he's going to continue to work on that agenda. And not only that, his agenda is actually popular with majority of Americans. So this is all of this is important to him. He'll stay focused on getting these things done.
Now, all those things that you just mentioned are things the president would like to do. There's been a lot of talk about, with the divided government, not everybody can get everything they want with this latest negotiation. Given the lessons learned from all of this, what are the policies that the administration thinks could get bipartisan support, given what you guys just went through with this negotiation?
Look, it's a good question. I think what we can say is, as I just laid out all of these different issues and pieces of legislation that's important, those are popular. Majority of Americans want to see these things done. And so I think that matters.
How can his approval rating be so low, but the majority of Americans approve of his policies?
With members of
Make it make sense.
How do we get these things done? We hear us talk about gun safety, and I know that's a tough issue, but we can't continue to see our kids and communities being killed. You know, we talk about Roe v. Wade and really making that the law of the land. We have to make sure that we protect the freedoms of American, of women in particular, as it relates to women's reproductive rights, Equality Act. All of those things are popular. All of those things are things that the American people want to see. And so, look, it's not going to be easy. It's never easy. The president has always understood that. And people have also said, many folks have said he couldn't get it done. And every challenge, he's been able to get it done. It might take a little bit more time, a little longer, but we believe that these are things that are important or critical that American families want to see happen. And so it's not going to stop us because there's a divided government. Again, we were just able to get this done in a bipartisan way.
Thank you. As the president is celebrating this bipartisan win on the debt deal, he is squashing the bipartisan bill on student loans. Why does he accept the will of the people in one area but ignore the will of the people when it seeks to block the transfer of this debt to the taxpayers?
I don't think protecting...
There it is. She doesn't think. She finally said something true.
Breathing room is going against the will of the American people. When you think about 90%, right? When you think about his plan and how it's going to help 90% of Americans who make $75,000 or less. That's what we talk about. That's the most important thing to remember about the student loan. It's going to help people who truly, truly, really need it in a time where the loan, as you know, the pause is going to lift. We want to make sure that the people have a little bit of extra breathing room to be able to pay for those loans once the pause is lifted in August. And so that matters. I don't think, and also, his plan is actually very popular with Americans.
Just process-wise, I mean, his forgiveness plan was done by executive order. Even the payment pause was done through an emergency statute. But the debt bill that mandates restarting payments got votes in Congress to pass. This bill, rejecting the forgiveness program, cleared both chambers and is heading to the president's desk. I mean, how do you argue with that this is clearly what people want to see happen?
So look, you're talking about debt relief that would have made 40 million people eligible who are borrowers. 40 million people. Again, most of whom are making less than $75,000 a year. That's who the president is focused on. That's who the president wants to make sure he protects. And that's what he did. And look, we also preserved our ability to pause student loan payments should be necessary in an event of future emergencies. That's also important, right? We have to look to see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, so we have to make sure we're ready for that. And so when you think about 40 million Americans who are borrowers, protecting them, protecting folks 90% who make $75,000 or less, I think that's important for the president to protect the student loan relief plan, right? As he did during these budget negotiations, and he's going to veto this resolution that, as you just stated, that has passed because it is not the right thing to do. The president is always going to focus on American families. He's always going to focus on the Americans who need it the most at this time. Again, 90% from his plan, 90% of folks who are borrowers are making $75,000 less in this plan, who make $75,000 or less in this plan, is going to be protected. That matters, and it's a popular plan as well. Go ahead, April.
One more real quick on guns. Should someone who's a drug user be able to possess a firearm?
I'm not going to get into tit for tat on this. I'm just not going to. Go ahead.
Karine, as you talk about next.
She's mad now.
Karen's question and answer with you. The Supreme Court, there are two issues that deal with equality, equity, inclusion, voting rights. Democrats are still pushing for that, screaming that gerrymandering right now in this nation is very unfair for their constituents.
Oh, it's so unfair.
Also, the issue of the admissions, affirmative action admissions in colleges.
Her head is impersonating a jack-o'-lantern. Is that cultural appropriation?
So look, that's something that the Department of Justice certainly is keeping an eye on. They have been focused on that issue. I'm certainly not going to speak to what they're bracing for or potentially thinking may happen, but they are dealing with this, so I would refer you to the Department of Justice. Look, when it comes to equity, when it comes to racial equity, when the president walked into this administration, you talked about, I mentioned this moments ago, about the 4 crises that we needed to deal with. Racial equity was one of them. And that's why this president has taken steps since almost day one to make sure that federal government, every agency in particular, he signed an executive order making sure that there was racial equity coming out of the agencies. And as it relates to voting rights, he's been very clear about where he stands on that and making sure that we deal with that in a real way, making sure that there is legislation that calling on Congress to put forth the legislation.
They think they're doing something, but it's still...
The president has been very clear.
They're just being racist. They think they're not. They think by choosing someone's skin color over the content of their character is somehow not racist.
Deal with those issues.
Hiring somebody other than you because of skin color is racism. They're so stupid.
Very intent on trying to push for voting rights. That can happen in the House, but it can definitely happen in the Senate. Are you expecting the president to possibly lean in this time on this next wave of a push for new voting rights laws?
I mean, look, the president has always been clear of where he stands on the voting rights law and that it needs to happen. And he's always supported that, and he's going to continue to do so. He, commends Congress to continue to find a path forward, as they should. We have to deal with this. This is a real issue that we have to deal with.
Hillbilly Hart impersonating Jabba the Hutt.
Low unemployment, below 4% for such a long time. But unemployment did jump last month by a fairly surprising margin from 3.4% to 3.7%. Does the White House have a view on why that might be and why unemployment among black workers jumped by almost a full percentage point?
So it's a bit complicated. I've asked the economist about this here, but those numbers come from different surveys, so that's important to note. The number of jobs created is from a business survey that came out, but the unemployment rate is from a survey of households. Our economic experts think they moved in a different direction this month, mainly because of the way they were categorized, that jobs were categorized, specifically self-employment. But we believe, as I said at the top, regardless of the number, when you think about 3.7, that's a jump from 3.4 to 3.7 unemployment, and more than 300,000 jobs created just this last month is a sign of very strong labor market and a resilient economy. So it's important to actually put those two together and see how we see the trajectory as we look at the economy continuing to grow.
And does the White House believe that the fact that jobs continue to grow every month at a faster rate than economists are predicting is a sign that the economy is still overheated and that the Fed may have to raise interest rates again?
So look, we're not going to speak to, we've been very, very consistent here about not speaking to the Fed and its policies, so we're continuing to do so. And look, we continue to believe that we are in a transition to more stable and steady growth. That's what we have been seeing. And certainly beating inflation remains the president's top economic goal. It's a priority. And
to cause inflation?
Over the last 10 months now, annual inflation has fallen, and it's down by 40% just last summer. So
what?
Things are clearly important.
Where is that happening?
We'll let them do their business independently, and that's something that we believe that this president is incredibly important for that to happen and occur.
Great, thanks, Karine.
All right. Take one last question. Okay.
Thank you. So NATO members are still very divided on Ukrainian membership. Are the United States supporting full NATO membership for Ukraine?
So look, we've said this over and over again. When it comes to NATO, we believe, and we're committed to the open door policy. Any alliance decision is between the 31 allies and the
open door policy. Is that at the border?
Before. That has not changed. That has been our view. And so, but right now, as we've said many times, my NSC colleagues have said many times, the president has said many times, we're focused on what we can do to support Ukraine's effort to fight for their democracy, clearly to fight for their freedom against Russia's aggression. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We just announced $300 million of additional assistance just a couple of days ago. And so you've seen that commitment over the past.
Not that worried about spending if you're doing stuff like that.
Thank you, Karine.
Well, there's KJP in all her glory. Silly KJP. Sitting here lying at us. She's not lying to us because we're not believing it. She's lying at us. Lions, Tigers, and Biden, oh my. Alright, we're going to move on to this next video. But first, need some Screaming Goat just to cleanse the palate there. Get that nasty KJP flavor out of your brain. We're going to be moving to this next video titled Senate Passes Debt Ceiling Bill, U.S. Averts Default. Also, YouTube apparently has changed some policies to try and trick people. We've had 2 people now talk about how today, it went into effect today, YouTube has, they have a blog post that says, an update on our approach to U.S. election misinformation. And it goes through and it says all these really great things. But then if you actually go to YouTube Help and you go look up misinformation, specifically about elections, you cannot talk about someone's age, the eligibility requirements, national law, their citizenship status, and vital status, which whatever that is. So it seems like you're more free than you used to be when it comes to talking about who, you know, how you put people in office and whatnot, that whole procedure. It's not true though. It's not true. They stopped focusing on one point, which is kind of like the big thing that happened in 2020 that we can't talk about. They act like you can talk about that now, but if you talk about things that make sense like age and physical ability, no, you can't talk about that. So they're going to be pulling channels down for other reasons. So basically you still can't talk about the process in which we put people in charge of the country. You still can't talk about that. They just changed the wording to make you think you can, so when you do, they can pull you down and hit you with strikes and delete your channel. So they put out misinformation about their misinformation. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. They're trying to trick us. Captain Seamus, misinformation is censorship and propaganda. Period. It's true. It's true. They're trying to get us. They're trying to get us. Good try. Good try. I wish things would get better. It's not though. I'm gonna post the links for that in the description after we're no longer live. So if you guys want to go and read all these community guidelines, because I know people think I'm just overhyping their community guidelines. It's literally 900 pages of community guidelines, but you can read these ones specifically. I'll post it in the description after we're no longer live. This video is titled Senate Passes Debt Ceiling Bill, U.S. Averts Default.
A bill to lift the U.S. government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling is heading to President Joe Biden's desk after the Senate voted to pass the bipartisan deal late Thursday night and avert what would have been the country's first ever default.
The yeas are 63, the nays are 36. The 60-vote threshold having been achieved, the bill is passed.
Nearly all Democrats and some Republicans in the Senate approved the bill, which had been passed by the House the day before. Lawmakers have been racing against the clock following months of partisan bickering. The U.S. Treasury had warned it would run out of funds starting June the 5th if Congress failed to act by then. In a statement, Biden said he would sign the bill into law as soon as possible, adding, quote, "This bipartisan agreement is a big win for our economy and the American people." Still, it was a bitter victory, and both sides took swipes at the other following the vote. After steering the legislation through, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blamed his Republican colleagues for pushing the country to the brink of a historic debt default.
Default was the giant sword hanging over America's head. But because of the good work of President Biden, as well as Democrats in the House and Democrats in the Senate, we are not defaulting.
While Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell tweeted, "Tonight the Senate voted to avoid default and begin to curb Washington Democrats' addiction to reckless spending." With this piece of legislation, the statutory limits on federal borrowing will be suspended until January the 1st, 2025. Unlike most other developed countries, the United States limits the amount of debt the government can borrow, regardless of any spending allocated by the legislature.
Well, that's that on the debt limit. I think it's all theater. I think all of it is theater. I don't pay any attention to that stuff. All the information comes from them. There's no proof. There's no proof on how much they spent. There's no proof on how much they're gonna spend. There's no proof that they would actually default if they cross this magic line. It's all nonsense. It's like lore told by the government. I don't know. It's a bunch of nonsense, but I know you guys care about it, so we covered it. They did the thing. Good for them. Hopefully it means good things to come or something. I don't know. Anyways, this next video is titled New York City Justice for Jordan Neely. It's because this is a protest live that ran yesterday by an Antifa live streamer who apparently blocked me in their chat. The only way I would guess that they would know that I was there is because we've covered their footage before during Coffee with Hooligans, and someone must have told them because I doubt they were watching. But yeah, they're mad, so they blocked me. I can't comment on their live, even though I never have, but we could still watch it and still cover it no matter how mad they are. That's too bad for them. But either way, this happened yesterday. It started with quite a few people. Let me turn this down. There's a bunch of people marching. This is in New York City. Yesterday, I want to say it was about 8 o'clock when this started. Most of the people there you don't get to see. Lots of cops. There was more cops than protesters.
Whatever.
Cops on scooters. I mean, unless those are motorcycles, but they look like mopeds.
The march.
Moped cops. You don't get to see the protesters very much. I'm not sure if that was strategic or what. But when you do see protesters, almost all of them have backpacks on.
On top of that, the guys like fucking.
And they look like college kids. They don't just look like Antifa wearing backpacks full of Molotov cocktails. It looks like college kids. They've been recruited to do this. But nothing really happens. They walk down the street. They get accompanied by police officers. I kind of think it's all orchestrated because there's more cops than there is protesters, but the protesters aren't doing anything, so why is there so many cops? And how do the cops know that they're protesting? Did they get a permit to protest? I highly doubt it. So it makes me feel like they're all in on it together. And they're out there screaming the normal stuff. Well, halfway through the live, on the back end of the live, the last little bit, there's not even chanting. They're all just standing there. This is practically just a tour of New York City more than a protest. I think at the end he says something about there was like an arrest at some point, but I didn't happen to catch where it happens or what the person did wrong.
That's him?
Also, I think they retitled it because when I was watching this yesterday, deciding if we were going to go live or not, because I was also looking for Orange Eagle, which there was no way to find Orange Eagle unless you paid for a service, and I wasn't going to pay for Hannity. I don't even think it was that great. I haven't seen hardly any clips about it from the town hall last night. These people aren't even protesters. These are just random people in New York. Everyone on the screen here. Weird, the cops got a compliance cloth on. That's a little strange. And this is pretty much how it ends. They just hang out. But yeah, I didn't even know what the protest was for when I was watching this yesterday. The title just said Warriors in the Streets or something like that. I don't know what it said. Something. Yeah, apparently this is for Jordan Neely. And And this is how it ends. They're all just standing there doing nothing. So yeah, that's a thing that happened yesterday. That's something that happened yesterday. Hillbilly at Heart, they're scoping for buildings they want to burn, what businesses to rob. It could be. It seemed like most of them didn't even know why they were there. They just were like, oh, my buddy said they were coming to this, so I'm here too. Captain Seamus says they could start dancing. I don't know. He ends the live right there. They just kind of stand around for a while, and then he's like, all right, well, we're going to wrap this up. I don't know. JP, a parasite convention. Yeah, and like I said, the message wasn't very clear. When they were marching and protesting, it wasn't like justice for Jordan Neely, or it was just, I think they were screaming Eric Adams or something, the mayor of New York. They were saying his name. They were counting to 12. No justice, no peace. That's all it was. I didn't even know why they were out there. No signs. It was just people with backpacks walking around, looking at each other. And then other New Yorkers looking at this traveling parade of individuals chanting. It was hardly a protest, which is why we didn't cover it. But I just wanted you guys to be aware that I knew that happened. And I wanted you guys to know that happened. But it wasn't very eventful, so that's why we didn't go live. Tis what tis. Karemi. One must be prepared as a police officer. Yeah, they didn't seem too concerned. When the George Floyd riots were going on, New York City was the first one to be all over the news. Forearming protesters right in the face. It was hardcore when it started. These guys did not seem threatened at all. What's up, Gonzo? Happy freedom. Jeb, when the chants turn to whose streets, they really have nothing to say. I don't know. I like the hands up, don't shoot, but they don't cover that anymore. They don't say that because it used to all be about abuse of authority from police officers and stuff like that. So hands up, don't shoot would get everybody all riled up because then it puts them in a kind of a mindset that they're being threatened by the police line that's there. It usually gets them riled up, but now they don't even say that because it's not about police officers, shooting people and whatnot. Now it's just about racism and anything they can come up with. Basically, if you disagree with them, then you're a racist. That's what it is at this point. Which is why I think it's so hard for them to recruit people. They need to change their branding. They've already tarnished their branding. So they need to come out with a new group and then just do the same old song and dance, and they'd probably be able to recruit people a little easier. But people don't want to be demonized. They know the majority of individuals do not support all that crap. So when they go out there and they're like, yeah, I joined the group, they're going to catch so much hate. And it wasn't like that before. It was really trendy to be a protester and to be an activist and have a Facebook page that says you stand up for all these different flags and whatever. It's not trendy anymore. It's not cool anymore. You'll get demonized because of all the damage and it just leaves a foul taste in your mouth anymore. So now they're having trouble recruiting, but who knows? Another year, probably within the next year, a disaster will happen. They'll get out there. They'll go back in the streets just in time for November. Next year, you watch. Bobby, BLM is broke. They are for now, but the next time they need them, that Soros check will come in, deposited right in the account. They'll be good to go again. It'll happen. Let's see. Karami, your comment got flagged, but you're right. You're right. Alright, so we're going to cover this last video for the YouTube side of things. We have 2 more videos on the alternative platforms. We'll go over it after this. This one is Men Out There, Raise Your Kids. think it's important to invest in your children. I think this message had good intentions, but I think they left out the part where many men don't have a choice when it comes to having kids. You have a kid, you want to be there, but if mom doesn't want you there, you're just a new lane of income. And they kind of left that out of this message, but still, take a gander.
Good evening. Welcome to Fox News Tonight. I'm Joey Jones. Joe Biden's been falling in the polls, and now he's falling in real life again, too. We'll have more on Joe Biden's embarrassing tumble later, but first. You may see the rampant idiocy and villainy attacking towns and cities across the country and ask yourself, what in the hell is going on? I sure do. Is this just the signs of the times, or is there more to it? Maybe this is exactly what our leaders want, to break our spirit of individualism once and for all. Our government spends too much money. We learned more about that this week. But perhaps more importantly, they work tirelessly each day to pry more freedoms away and tell us what we can do, how we can do it, and probably most concerning, why we should do it. In other words, they want to be our moral compass, our conscience, and our conviction. For most of us, this is really troubling because we already have a fundamental belief system. Our sense of right and wrong was set years of learning and parenting and our experiences in faith. What we call in the South our raising. We were, raised to have ethics and beliefs we hold. But maybe that's not exactly the case for an increasingly growing segment of our population. Maybe more and more Americans aren't getting necessary examples traditionally set by their mothers and fathers, making it easier for the state to step in and fill that role. We know many left-wing ideologues and organizations work to attack the traditional role of mom and dad in a family. Black Lives Matter infamously had this concept stated in their charter until folks like us noticed it. We saw scenes just this week of young men and teenage boys ransacking a Lululemon in Georgia and viciously attacking Marines in California. Perhaps the most important question here is, where were their fathers? And look at the deranged school shooters we've had in the past decade. Almost exclusively young men with a complete disregard for innocent life. Who was supposed to teach them right from wrong? How did they go so wrong? Men specifically bring discipline and consequence to raising children. And anyone with common sense can see our bodies are built to take the arrows. Our personality is geared towards reason, sacrifice, danger, and stoicism. According to a group called the Fatherhood Project, father involvement using, quote, authoritative parenting leads to, quote, better emotional, academic, social, and behavioral outcomes for children. Additionally, the group found that kids who are close to their father are twice as likely to enter college, find a stable employment, than those who don't. Kids with involved fathers are, quote, less likely to act out in school or engage in risky behavior in adolescence. These kids are more likely to do very well in school, too, and lower the frequency and delinquency among them. Women, of course, with an equally valuable role, show us true strength, virtue, empathy, and the need to nurture. But it's the dads who have the opportunity to just not show up. And it's the dads who matter in this conversation. Who can respect authority when the authority figure didn't respect them enough to be there? Who can understand how to throttle their raw aggression when the masculine example wasn't in their lives to prove it necessary? That's not to say women aren't amazing parents, we know that. But it does show how important the masculine example is to the development of children. Listen, guys, men out there, I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but let me be clear. Raise your kids. A third of all kids growing up without their biological father present, that's nearly 25 million little boys and girls. I understand myself that we can conceive children in inopportune ways and times. But once they are here, they're our responsibility just as much as their mothers. This is not a burden. It's our most primal purpose. We have to pay taxes, we have to do chores, but we get to raise kids. This is a blessing and a responsibility any man should covet, not lament. If strong men make easy times and weak men make hard times, What do no men present make? You know, a wise man once told me, a good dad has his kids in his life, but a great dad is in his kids' lives. Don't just step up to the plate. Do it with a smile. If you have a chance to be a dad, you are truly one of the luckiest among us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a good message, but at the same time, I don't think that most kids don't have a dad in their life because their dad chose not to. In my experience, people my age, I have lots of friends that I've seen cry hard, real hard, because they want to be a part of their kid's life so bad, and the mom just don't want to. Mom wants 15 boyfriends, and dad can't live in the house anymore. It's not enough room with him and the 15 boyfriends. So dad's getting kicked out. Court says, hey, mom's collecting food assistance. Dad's gonna have to pay child support now. No guaranteed visitation. Dad can't come to the house because all 15 boyfriends live there. So now what? Well, now dad is just another line of income, has to fight to see the kids. If you do get to see the kids, you might get a couple hours on the weekend or something like that. Mom gets to walk around, talk about how bad dad is. He's a deadbeat. He has to pay child support and all this stuff. Court's a win-win. They get a little cut off that child support. Kids being brainwashed to think their dad doesn't love them anymore. And the dad has to do everything he can to stay on this side of the ground because he's basically not allowed to be around his kids anymore because mom has a venturous hoo-ha that it's the town drum. Everybody gets to take a turn. So I don't know. That's what I see more than anybody just choosing to not be the dad. I know that it used to be that way, but adults my age, I have so many friends that want to be a part of their kids' lives and just can't because the court is involved and mom's loose. And I mean, that's their choice. They shouldn't have been, messing around with the town drum like that. It happens. Don't hang out with loose women because they don't tighten up just because you're around. That's not how it works. But I don't know. The other thing that kills me is people that are dads who don't invest in their kids. They just let their kids get brainwashed by the school, and then they don't know why their kids acting that way. Kids got purple hair and protesting, and they don't know why. Well, you have the opportunity to invest in your kid, and you're just choosing not to. I don't know. I think the message was all right on that video, but I don't know. I see more of the court causing issues than them not wanting to assume their responsibility. Crack shot. The state has full access to your child without the dad in the picture. Yeah. Well, and one way that you could tell the scales are tipped is when the child is born, the mom is automatically the parent. Automatically. As soon as the birth certificate is signed, boom, mom has rights of the child. The dad does not have rights of the child unless they go to the state capitol in person, pay $65 or more, show 3 forms ID, and get what's called an affidavit of parentage. You have to obtain that before you even have any rights over your own kid. And even when you do, a lot of times people don't have to get that document. They don't even know what the document is unless they go to court for custody. And so the dad never has rights until it's established in court, where the mom has rights as soon as the baby falls out. As soon as she craps that kid out, boom, she has rights. That's how you know the scales are tipped. It's not equal. It's not balanced at all. It's messed up. That stuff needs to be redone. Let's see. Sam, I raised my son after his mom left. Yeah, and that's another thing, is that moms have so much power that if they leave, a lot of times you're not getting child support out of them. Courts favor the moms. Hardcore. At least they do in Michigan, at least. Kevin, my dad raised 3 kids on his own. Yeah, I think moms and dads are important, but I think that having a dad in the house is really important, and the courts are working against dads. And so you see a lot of what we see with the protesters, right? Somebody goes out there, they act crazy, cops tell them to comply, they don't comply, they get shot in the face and they die. And you see moms sitting there saying, oh, he was such a good boy, blah, 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 but you don't see dad. You don't see dad there. Now, maybe dad chose to not be there. Maybe the court got him. I don't know, but he's not there. He's almost never there when we see these situations. And look at the decisions the kid is making. It's because moms are there to build you up and tell you everything's gonna be okay and kiss your boo-boos and all that stuff, and dad's there to crack the whip and be like, yo, you need to straighten up, pull your head, pull your ass off your shoulders, do the right thing. You got to have both. You got to have discipline, and you got to have somebody to love you and care for you. You got to have, you got to have both sides, and people are not getting both sides. And like I've talked about before, when you live in a separated household, nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the mean parent. Everybody wants to be the nice parent. And so nobody's getting disciplined. No one's being held accountable. Next thing you know, you're 20 years old and you're burning buildings down, screaming about problems that don't even exist. And then you get arrested and now you're saying you're oppressed. Because your brain doesn't work, because you've never been disciplined, because you've never had anybody hold you accountable. And that's what dads do. They hold you accountable. They make everything your fault. They make you go rewash the dishes when you didn't do it right. Mom just says, it's all right, I'll just go and fix it. And it's enabling. But it's not mom's fault. You need both parents. You need dad and mom to be there to, they say it takes a village to raise a kid. You can't do it just with one parent. It just, something, you got to have both. And so for that message to be out there like, dad, you got to choose to be a dad. I feel like that's very small on the list there. It's not just dads not wanting to be dads. The court system is messed up. It's messed up. It's all messed up. Sam, make dads great again. I fully believe in that. Moms are great, but dads got to be dads too. There's a lot stacked against them. Appreciate you being here, James. Just reading through the chats really quick. Gonzo, I'm just an uncle and my sister doesn't want me around because I speak the truth and not lies. Yeah, that happens. When you're out there telling the truth, it makes people mad. It makes people uncomfortable. That is very true. I've experienced that myself. Jeb, people aren't interested in committing to a relationship. It's a lot of work and a lot of compromise. Yeah. It's because people are soft and stupid now. As long as they got a phone in front of their face, they're good to go. Especially, look at all the drug addicts. 300 Americans die every single day because of fentanyl. People would rather escape reality than deal with their actual problems. And like you're saying, a relationship is a lot of work. And people don't want to work. People do not want to work. All right, hooligans, that's all I have for the YouTube side of things. We have 2 more videos on the alternative platforms. We have a video titled Biden Puts the Cartels in Charge of Mexico. That talks about the president of Mexico is suggesting to Americans who they should and should not choose to be their leader. We'll word it like that until YouTube leaves the room, and then we'll say what is really going on. But I think that's really interesting because they point out that is interference. And then we have a video that is titled Senate Hearing Erupts in Laughter when this individual, I don't know, Mark Wayne Mullen, I don't know who that is or if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, but either way they say, I don't want reality, and then everybody just laughs at them. But what they're really talking about is a book that's talking about race that's supposed to be presented to 3rd graders and saying, how is this okay, but talking about God in front of kids is not okay. And then everybody laughed at him and was like, you're an idiot. We need to talk about racism every day, all day, top of your mind. Worry about racism. There's nothing else out there. It's only racism. Like, idiots. Either way, that's what we have for the alternative platforms, so I encourage you guys to make your way over there. I'm going to drop the links for you guys. Then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to do the spiel deal, and then we're going to wrap things up on the YouTube side of things and move forward on the alternative platforms. Here is the link for Rumble. If you'd like to go to Rumble, let's see, Odyssey. There's the link for Odyssey. There's a link for the website. Scroll in. Alright, and then here is the link for the link tree. I'm going to post that on all the chats. Captain Seamus, you're omnipresent. Flipping through all the chats. I'm just seeing your name over and over again. You're awesome. Alright. Alright, hooligans, when you get a second, please go to the link tree. On the link tree, you can find all of my links listed. You can use the link tree to go to all the platforms as we continue on with this live, so you can figure out which alternative platform suits you best, because I want you guys to be comfortable where you are. So while you're on the link tree, go and find Gilded. Gilded is free and currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Every time we go live, there's a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. And there's a ton of hooligans in there to hang out with all day, every day. So definitely go join Gilded. You can get it on your phone as an app, or you can get it on your computer. I have it on my phone. That way I can receive notifications every time people are tagging me. But you can get it so I can tag you when we're ready to go live. Also on the link tree, you can find links to the merch store if you'd like to grab some merch. We got shirts, hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs, and a bunch of other stuff. Everything is displayed in black and white or white and black, but if you find something you like, just click on that item to see all the different colors that that item comes in. You can also find links to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, and Locals if you'd like to support what I do. There's also a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's really easy to use. Anything you purchase directly from the wish list will be sent straight to me without having to send emails, find addresses, worry about tracking codes or any of that. You don't have to do any of that. As soon as you make the purchase, it'll be on its way. It's really simple. And then finally, we have links for the membership programs. We have memberships on YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. Then also at the very top of the link tree, you can see the link to claim a free week membership for jeffmaclive.com. If you get a membership for the website, you'll have access to your own profile for the private social media area. You'll have access to the live streaming area with the built-in chat. And you'll also have access to our advanced messaging system with the ability to text, call, video call, group text, group call, group video call, and the ability to upload all media that has existed beyond VHS tapes. That way you can share important documents that you come across, cool videos that you find, or images. You can make slideshows. You can upload MP3s for your new mixtape that's coming out that's pure fire and you want to drop that heat on us. You're welcome to do so. Go check out jeffmaclive.com. It's the freest place on the internet. All right, hooligans, you know what time it is. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'll read through the chat really quick, and then we're going to be moving forward to the alternative platform, so make your way over there to continue the rest of this live. Everything's looking good. We're pretty much just cutting YouTube out of the live because these next videos I have are too spicy for YouTube. It's not my fault. It is what it is. Go make your way over to the alternative platforms. We are live on Twitch, Kick, Odyssey, Rumble, jeffmaclive.com, as well as Twitter. For everybody that only watches on YouTube, I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate all the support. I wish I could show you this stuff. You're welcome to the alternative platforms. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next live. I appreciate all of you. Oh, weird. It just signed me out of my live streaming stuff. That's going to make stuff interesting. Do the thing.